He was that person everyone could believe is a good person, someone with a kind heart. He wasn't talkative. He was a humble man, like looking from outside. He was a kind man, and he was a born-again Christian, of which for us, our family were all Catholics. So people who call themselves born again, we thought they are those people who are good enough.
Hello everyone. Thank you once again for joining us here on Inspire. My name is Emertha. I have a very special guest, a young lady who faced child abuse from the age between 3 and 5. Faced sexual violence. She faced abuse. She was threatened to be killed. She went through that journey of darkness, and the worst of all, she wasn't able to disclose what happened to her until took so much time for her to speak out. So she's right here with me. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and Larissa is going to walk us through her journey, and obviously we are going to learn much about her journey. So Larissa, welcome on Inspire.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Larissa Murenzi. I'm a Rwandese. I'm single. I'm a Christian. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Larissa. Watching you on different social media platforms, I was so heavily touched by your experience, the kind of trauma that you endured as a child, sure, abuse that you had to face at a young age. I was so really so glad that you accepted to come here on Inspire to share your journey with the whole world. So, Larissa, tell us more about how did this happen? When did it happen? Abuse start, and who did it?
Yeah. As I was saying, before genocide, my parents went in Congo, and after the genocide was stopped, we had to come back. At that time, I was going to make like 3 years. Then when we came back, life was hard. There was nowhere to start life. Every opportunity someone could get can grab it with two hands. So it was hard for my dad to find a job. And after a while, someone like called. There was a certain offer but up country. So he had to go. So going after some time again, my mother had to join, and the whole family had to join and go to stay there. So we had nowhere to stay, and I had started my school. Like I had started school. I was in nursery, so we had to stay, and we had to stay in my auntie's house, the sister of my mother. So we had to stay there with my brother. The two of us were studying, others were still young. So the two of us had to stay. So we went to stay in that house. The auntie was like a mother. She loved us. She cared for us. She was good. It was okay. Even the cousins were like siblings. We were okay. We were conversant with them. We were comfortable at home. But
Right.
the husband to that auntie was not good. He was not good. He looked so, because he was that person everyone could believe is a good person, someone with a kind heart. He wasn't talkative. He was a humble man, like looking from outside. He was a kind man, and he was a born-again Christian, of which for us, our family were all Catholics. So people who call themselves born again, we thought they are those people who are good enough. So, but that man wasn't good, because at that age, that's when he started using me. I don't know. I can't explain much on that. But what I know, we used to come back from home, and we had to present our homeworks. Like when you want to check your kids' performance, if they have done their homeworks, like things like that. So we had to go. He used to be in the room, in his room, and send for like one by one. You go and show him, then you come back. I used to go last every time, and When the first time I reached there, he was like, put your book there. So I had to put the book on the side, on that table, like on the side of the bed. So I had put the book there. Then he said, come, touch. Was naked, like down, he was naked. So, like someone, like, it was like my dad. So naked, and was like, I see,
Yeah. So he forced you to touch.
to touch and watch, like, see. I'm saying, look here, look how, like, he was showing me his, so that I can touch. And yeah, he
Yeah.
was
So
he ordered me,
maybe
actually. He wasn't.
he forced
Yeah.
you to touch and look his nakedness. That was the first day
Yes.
when he actually, the
Yes.
intention was for you
So
to check your
the
homework.
next thing I remember,
Mm.
sorry.
So wait, so the intention was for him to see your homework, but when you arrived there, instead of him checking your homework, he instead made himself naked for you to see and touch his private parts. And this is somebody that you
Yeah,
consider to be like your dad, someone that you trusted, and someone who looked trustworthy,
exactly.
but he wasn't the really
Yeah.
person that you thought he was, right? So and then
Yeah, outside he pretended to be so, and he pretended to show everyone that he cares about me, he loves me, so that whatever they will see, they will think it's just because he's a good person to me. But it wasn't that, because from that moment, that's when he started using me. And the next thing I remember at that time is that he took me, also removed my nika, started touching me. I don't.
he took your clothes off and started touching you. So that's the first day when he started abusing you. So
Yeah, that's how
Larissa,
it started.
that's how it started. So what was your reaction like, knowing that I understand you are only 3 years old, only, for goodness sake, you are still very young. You didn't know what he was doing, I presume, and I believe a 3-year-old want to know what is happening. So what was your reaction? Did you cry? Were you shocked out? What was your reaction?
Like being in a home which wasn't my real home. First of all, there is a way you are not comfortable. Whatever comes, you feel like you have to bear with it. So but not to the extent that something will pain you and you keep quiet. Of course, I cried, but she had to cover my mouth, so the noise couldn't go far. But I cried, the tears could come. And after he gave me time, like, go there, he punished me not to say anything. He told me not to say anything, and gave me a punishment, and told me to wipe out my tears, and keep quiet so that I can go out. So I cried. It was painful, but I didn't have the choice. I had to keep quiet. I had to pretend nothing is happening. And the fact that I wasn't at home, I was like, maybe this is what is supposed to be done. Yeah.
All right. So you thought
Mm.
that's how life should be in that family, and he made you
Yeah.
wipe your tears away and look as if it was normal, as if nothing happened, so that no one would suspect that something happened right in that. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I went out
let's
as normal.
you had to pretend, right?
Yes,
And
I had to pretend nothing happened, and the fact that no one could think that something happened, no one even came to approach me, no one followed me, so I could go and shy away somewhere and just try to calm my emotions down. No one saw me, at least to bother and ask what happened. So it was simple as that. No one bothered, because they didn't know something happened. They thought it's as normal as, even them, they went there and came out. And sometimes, even if you cry, they would think you failed to do your work. Maybe they have said something against you. I don't know. But no one bothered, and it was somehow simple, because I could hide somewhere and calm my emotions.
did he have children himself?
He had three. He had three, but by then he had three. Yeah.
Like how old were they? Were you in the same age? Did he have also girls?
Yeah, the firstborn was a girl, and I think she's like 3 years or 4 years older than me. One is also 3 years, I think. And my brother was also older than me, so we were like 4 or 5. I don't remember the fourth one. The third one is younger than me, but they were there. He had only one daughter.
Right. So, getting out of that bedroom, you have been abused the first time, and you're thinking that is the culture, that how probably things are done in that family. You being new in that family, and you got out of that bedroom. Did you tell anyone around what you saw, what happened to you? Did you share it to anyone?
I didn't share because he promised me if I speak or if I say anything, he's going to kill me. I was like, you will die. The very day you say anything, you will die. So he had to make sure he shows me, like he used to show me how like the value of spoil like of speaking, like if I speak something will happen. So he used to beat me a lot. He used to do things, terrible things you couldn't do to a child. So I couldn't mention anything, I couldn't say anything.
So he threatened to kill you, and
Yes.
that's the reason why you are afraid to discuss this to anyone.
Yeah, he threatened me, and another thing, I had no one. Really, I had no one to talk to, because my mother, I thought whatever was happening to me, she knew, because she used to come and I used to cry every day. Please take me home. I don't want to stay here. I used to cry every time she could come to visit, but she would never feel like. That's what I used to think as a child. She would never think like have pity for me. So I thought she knew what was happening, and she neglected just to leave me there and stay there for studies. So I didn't have someone to tell, because at home no one bothered. Actually, no one bothered, not to the extent of knowing that and refusing to do something, but no one knew what was happening. So I had no one to tell, and he had threatened me not to say anything. So I had no choice but to keep that secret.
So tell me, I'm just trying to imagine you've been raped. So how long did it take? How often did he rape you, and for how long, if you may remember?
I can't know how many times, but I stayed there for 3 years,
Three
and he never
years.
stopped. So I don't know how many in a week, but I stayed there for three years. Yeah. Mhm.
So, being threatened to be killed, being raped on a daily basis, and keeping it to yourself, having no one to trust. Tell me about that trauma inside you. How did it feel? Because I just can imagine you are just on your own, and things are happening in your life, and you have no one trust, you have no one to tell. You're just keeping it yourself. Very painful. Not only being raped, but you're also being beaten and threatened to be killed. You are only 3 years old. So, how did it feel in terms of you being on your own and struggling on your own mentally? Really, how did it?
Uh, I don't I don't even if at that age you can't control yourself. You can't. I didn't know even what was going on. It was too much for me, and the only thing I could do is crying every time. I used to wet the bed every day. I used to I don't know how to explain, but I was that kid who never speak. I didn't want to, like I didn't play with other kids like any other kid used to, like play around and enjoy with others. It was my word. I don't know how to explain, but I was a difficult child to raise,
Right.
and I was dead. That's what I can say. Inside, I didn't know why I live. I didn't know or why I was left there. I didn't know why I had to suffer, but I didn't have what to do. So you see, at that age, I couldn't do much, and I didn't know how to solve it. So I had to suffer it without even doing anything to pass through it. So
As a result, you developed another character. You became so difficult to raise. And what was your character like? You cry so often. Were you quiet? Tell me how really it affected you in terms of.
at that young age, that it was all about crying and being like shy, never speak to someone. I wasn't a kid, really. I wasn't a kid. I was somehow like someone mature, because I had to keep a secret. And it's very hard for a child to keep a secret, because you want, if you are hurting, you want everyone to know, you want everyone to say sorry. But for me, I had to keep that secret. And I don't know, I used to cry every time. It was very hard for me, and everything I could do could be as bad, because of that pain. I used to refuse to wear the knickers. So whatever I could do, they couldn't understand why, but they could beat me every time, because they couldn't understand why I'm doing such without a problem. And for me, I had that secret to keep. So I was that child who doesn't do what they tell her, and but you want to do what you want, and you don't know even what to do. So it was difficult at the younger age, but when I grew up, that's when I became very very difficult, because from there, that time, I was like dead. I used to refuse to eat. I never wanted to eat. I never wanted to sleep on a bed. I never wanted to dress smartly. Everything was hard. I couldn't study. I was sick every day, and every time I was sick in the hospital. So I don't know, but life was hard in general.
Yeah, I can imagine, and I can feel your pain, really. But going to school, did probably the teacher note something strange about you? Did any teacher have any concerns about you, or did you probably talk to any teacher, or you still kept a secret even when you went to school?
It was still a secret. When I was young, I tried to tell, like, there was a certain maid at home. So when we went for holidays, so I had to tell her, because for her, she watched me, and she was like, there was a smell, and she was like, what happened? But teachers at school, whenever they could complain, they could tell them that this child, like, there is a way she does it, like there is a way she sues on the bed. So they could think it's the urine smell. But that lady, for her, she insisted, what happened? Tell me what happened. And I told her what happened. I didn't even say much, because for her, in genocide, she was raped more than once, like by the oppressors, by the killers. So she understood my pain. I think there is a way it connected. So for her, I told her, she started helping me, finding, like, she went and bought for me some tablets. She took care of me, she counseled me. So it was somehow, but she died. She died when I was in senior one. But I had left that place. The physical pain was not there, but the emotional pain, I was dead totally. My heart was normal. I don't know how I lived, because I know I used to hate myself. I used to hate everyone. I felt like killing myself or killing everyone else, even including my parents. So I didn't know what to do, but it was difficult. That's what I know. It was difficult to raise me. Studying at school, it wasn't easy, because I could study 2 weeks at home. Sometimes I could even fail because of the throwback in my head. So it was hard. To the extent, I don't know how I lived. My parents are the one who knows, because we used to go to the hospital and spend there like a month without any sickness detected. So I don't know, but it was very hard. I was kind.
The first person who discovered what might have happened to you was a housemaid, right?
Yes, she was a housemaid, but she later became like a mom, because she had no family and she had to be part of our family. So we used to call her mom also. Yeah.
What was your feelings whenever you thought about your biological parents leaving you in that place that they actually trusted, because it was a family also, they were family members, and yeah. So what were your thoughts whenever you especially thought about your mom telling her most of the time if she could take you, and she never took it serious, probably because she didn't know that that was what was happening. Tell me how you felt inside you whenever I thought about you.
My parents, especially, I had grudges on my mom. My father, it was okay, because for him, he was there, but he used to work, go and come back. So I didn't really miss him. He was there, and it wasn't a big deal. But for my mom, whom I grew up with, like, to that age, she was with me every day. So it was very hard to understand why she could leave me. We were together. I thought she was able to raise us without any help. So it wasn't, I couldn't understand. Actually, I hated her so much, so much. I'm trying to, I'm healing. That's what I'm saying. I'm fighting nowadays. I'm healing. I'm building our relationship. We are building our relationship back. But I used to hate her with passion, that you are not my mother, you can never be my mom, and never accept me, never feel what I felt, like never understand my pain. For me, I thought she could even see and read what I was passing through without me telling her. So I used to hate her. I couldn't understand why she could do such thing to me. Actually, she was the second killer, like following that man.
Disclosed what happened to you, told the housemaid, and knowing that this man actually told you to never disclose this to anybody, what was your feeling? Were you a bit scared? Did you tell her not to say to anybody? Did you ask her also to keep your secret? Yeah, because I presume you're still scared that this man might know that you talked about it and maybe harm you.